Everyone tells you to read Atomic Habits, The 48 Laws of Power, and How to Influence and Influence People. But no one, literally no one tells you to read The Count of Monte Cristo, The Divine Comedy, or The Prince. And let me tell you, reading these fiction books, they'll provide you with 1,000 times more wisdom than these non-fiction books, these classic self-help books. And the reason for that is summed up in the following quote. Literature gives you the opportunity to experience lives, perspectives, and words different from our own. Though, remember, friends, a good story has many readings, and this is but one. So, in this video, I specifically want to talk about what I learned from reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which is nearly 1,300 page novel. So let's essentially get into my two lessons. But before I actually want to talk about these lessons, I just want to say, I want to get out of my heart is to say that like reading The Count of Monte Cristo was a hell of a ride for me personally. Because I'll be honest, while reading, there were just many times that I just wanted to stop reading, to quit and just put the book on the side and never pick it up again. And that was like especially in the middle part of the book, which was quite boring to be quite honest, I'll admit that. But all in all, when I basically persevered and finally finished the book, I was truly yesterday I finished it and I was truly happy. And yeah, how do you say, like in love with this book, with the story, with the lessons and the transformations of the transformation of the main character, which is Edmond Dantes, and his name is also like aka the Count of Monte Cristo. So yeah, this book, like reading this book, it just made me realize that I can read every single book that I want. Because if you stick with a book for like such a long time, for over like reading over 1,000 pages, there's just like a lot of mental energy that has gone into it, and it just makes you realize that you can do anything you ever want. All right, so sticking it, I've easily spent like dozens of hours. I've easily spent a lot of hours reading this book, but it just made me realize that I can do anything I want. And if you, for example, pick this up, if you're intrigued by the lessons, for example, pick this book up. It's, in my opinion, it's probably worth a read. And yeah, it's just made me realize I can do whatever I want. I can read every single book that I want, no matter how many pages it has. And this lesson, it basically just goes already hand in hand with the main lesson of the book, which is number one. And like the first lesson is essentially summed up by Edmond Dantes, which is the main character. And this was like in the last letter, right on the which he wrote on the island of Monte Cristo right before he left. And let me essentially read it to you. So give me a second to find the page. So here it is. Until the day when God deigns to unveil the future to mankind, all human wisdom is contained in these two words: wait and hope. So let me tell you why this statement is just such a fundamental truth by essentially outlining the rough story of this book, especially like just the beginning, to be quite honest. And this way, and if you like truly understand the essence of this point, this will maybe change your life. And at least it did for me. It was a big realization I had, and just a fundamental truth that'll change my productivity game from now on, because it's just such a fundamental truth, to be quite honest. So let me paint a picture this way. Imagine you're a solid, happy 19-year-old man. You've got a bright future ahead of you, and you're right before, like your moments before you're marrying the most beautiful woman, the woman of your dreams. So imagine you're maybe like in this church, everyone's here for your marriage, and suddenly the police comes in, they grab you and they take you away to prison, where you'll probably have to spend the rest of your life. And to be quite honest, that's pretty damn shit. And there, when you're like in the prison, you're like, imagine like this really old, dirty, this really old, dirty prison. You've got no people around you, you're alone, and you just sit there for the rest of your life. You're thinking, what should I do? But you can't do anything. And one of the things you'll definitely think about is about death, is about suicide, is about just to no longer suffer. It's about how can I get into heaven in the way that's the least resistance. And the main character, Edmond Dantes, he was just about to marry the woman of his dreams, taken away into prison, where he'd spent the rest of your life if he hadn't escaped. And in the prison, he had these thoughts. He wanted to kill himself. He questioned God, his beliefs. He questioned his entire destiny. Why God? Why does it have to be me? Why does it have to be this way? I didn't do anything. I was thrown into prison for a crime I didn't commit. But the thing is, Edmond Dantes, he waited and he hoped. All in all, Edmond Dantes, he never stopped waiting. He never stopped hoping, until finally he escaped, and essentially in the next 1K pages did his revenge. So yeah, in other words, the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes, he was always patient and he always believed. And to be quite honest, it's the same for me. I wanted to step, as I said, I wanted to stop reading the book midway through. But no, I didn't. I stayed patient, and I had to believe that yes, I'm the person capable of reading these 1.2, 1.3 pages. And so I did. And let me give you even another example. So imagine you're trying to make money online for 4+ years, and you've not made a single dime. You've not seen a single progress for such a long period of time. And to be quite honest, that's pretty shit. But that person was me. I had the thoughts to quit, thoughts to stop waiting, beliefs that said, you cannot do this, it's impossible, you're just lazy, you're a procrastinator, a degenerate. But all in all, I stayed patient, I put in action, and I believed. I had faith, I had hope that not only I can do it, but all in all, I had faith, I had hope that not only I can make it, but I'm going to make it. And last week, I made my first $50 online. So right before, it's also a realization I had. Right before you are about to quit is the time where you gotta persist, believe, and stay patient. And this essentially sums up the first lesson. And the second lesson was also mentioned in Edmond Dante's last letter. And this is what he wrote. So let me find the page again. Na, 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 na. So he wrote, "There is neither happiness nor misfortune in this world. There is merely the comparison between one state and another, nothing more. Only someone who has suffered the deepest misfortune is capable of experiencing the heights of felicity. Maximilian, you must needs have wished to die to know how good it is to live." And I truly believe, I truly believe that in order to truly appreciate success, in order to truly appreciate the highest highs, you first have to go through the lowest lows, the part that no one wants to go through. And that's what I believe is the problem with these millionaire kids. Their parents, they build up everything from ground zero, and therefore they've just became self-made millionaires, and therefore they appreciate their success. And because of that, they essentially want to give this success to the children. But these children, they just don't know what it is, what it feels like to be at zero, to struggle, to not succeed. And therefore, because their parents just give them stuff, try to make them happy, they don't appreciate this stuff. They don't appreciate that stuff that their parents worked so hard for. They take this stuff for granted. And that again, I hope this point makes sense, but this is a lesson for my future, for you, for your future, if you want to once have children, because it's just something you have to keep in mind and something you definitely think of if you want to have children and if you've maybe been self-made. All right. So yeah, back to the point. For 4 years, I've been down there. I've not been seeing any results. And only now I'm getting my first taste of results. And I truly appreciate it. Making this first online, it was awesome. This $50. It's just all the hard work, it paid off. And Edmond Dantes, the Count, he's been near death, locked up in a prison for a decade and a half. The lowest lows you could imagine. I'll be honest, I probably would just have thrown me away. But he persisted. He got his revenge, and he learned the lesson. And now truly appreciates his freedom and love. And that's basically lesson number 2. And to be quite honest, I could just go so much deeper into this topic because there's just so much truth bundled up in these 2 lessons from this book from the incredible author Alexandre Dumas. But yeah, if you want to go deeper with me, and if you want to learn more about productivity, more about achieving your goals and how you can practically achieve your goals, then you can check out the first link in the description where you can book a one-on-one 30-minute coaching call directly with me, where I basically just give you value, give you personalized advice to your situation to essentially make you a better human, to make you more productive, to achieve your goals. And I essentially, that being said, I leave you with a quote from my late Edmond Dantes, aka the Count of Monte Cristo. "Life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask the sunlight one moment, you will bask the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when that storm comes." Peace out.